Welcome back to the international phenomenon that is episode 6 of the Stratocaster Partscaster build. I must say a huge thank you to you all for the overwhelming reaction to episode 5. I know it was a long time coming, but I'm back, and this will be the penultimate episode before we finally wrap things up on this build. As always, I ask you to subscribe to this channel and help it grow. Anyway, that's enough grovelling. Here's episode 6. This is all pretty assembled. What we haven't done yet is marked out the screw holes. Now, I've marked these out already. I went round them and I thumped them all with the hammer that I found in the workshop and just tapped through to make indents. Pencil marks are all very good, but I prefer a little bit of a center punch because it's something that the bit can actually locate in, and I find that gives me a much more accurate drill hole. So now I'm going to take off the scratch plate, pick guard, whatever you prefer to call it. I'm just going to get these out of the way into my magnetic tins. These are really useful. These are the sort of thing you use when you're doing the car and you're doing your oil changes. Just the bolts and everything just stick to them. So I can take that off. This is all fitted nicely now. And I put the pickup selector on before I realised I was going to go this route with this kit. So I'm going to take that switch out because I don't need it anymore. It's a really good switch actually. It's a Japanese one. They are, I think, in my opinion, the best. This is a DM50 made in Japan. Okay, I need to remove that button. And that's out. We've got our kit here. Now I'm going to have to cut this off or desolder this. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove the screws. Right, thinking about it, that could actually be quite useful for wiring up because, let's face it, that's what they used it for. So I'll keep that. Right, this is the moment of truth when you probably discover that this won't fit. And so let's see. Fantastic. So we'll pop the screws in. It's all coming together now. I really don't like using these. I should really be using a spanner. You can actually get special spanners that are designed for this very purpose from StewMac. But then again, I think you can probably get almost anything from StewMac that's designed to do something very specific that you never ever do, or that you do very rarely. There we go. Well, that's exciting. There's a couple of things that we need to do. One of the things we need to do is to actually desolder this and make a suitable hole through here so that we can connect into this compartment here and fit this 1/4 inch jack socket. The other thing we need to do is to drill a hole through here in order to get into the spring cavity. And in the spring cavity we need to connect this black wire, which is an earth wire, which means that when you touch the bridge it's earthed and you don't get hum. As I'm going to be drilling across this area down here, I know this is a relic guitar and it doesn't matter in the slightest if I get this damaged, but doing it right is doing it right. So let's just put some tape on here to protect the body as if it was a finish made of gold that we don't want to destroy. So let's just stick some tape across there so that when I come around and drill that across, I can relax. And we're through into the actual spring cavity. I think I'm going to try and go, I'm going to try and go in here and see if I can get through to the cavity safely just there. And I need a different Different drill for this. They always call drill bits drills. I think that's my dad. Oh, you need a different drill, son. Not that my dad sounds like that. He doesn't sound like anything these days. He thinks that I'm his dad. Dementia is a terrible thing. There we go, that goes into the cavity. Cool. So when I've tinned that up, I should be able to just poke that through, yep, straight into the spring cavity. Excellent. Just clear up as I go along. Tinning is so important. If you don't do this, soldering is a complete pain. If you do it, when you touch the two things together and you just apply a little bit of heat, it automatically just works. Wonderful thing. Again, I thank my dad for that one. So I need to desolder this. Goodness knows how well this is going to go. Come on, there we go. So we're disconnected. Turn that off for now. I'll need to prepare those wire ends. I need another level of glasses for this. That looks really, really stupid, but it's incredibly effective. Double bins or double glasses. Yeah. I don't know what this wire is. It seems to be like a waxed linen wire, which is good and bad. The waxed linen wire is quite nice and vintagey feeling, but it's not the easiest thing to work with, to be honest. No. Very useful things to have. Yeah. Now I thought that wasn't working. It is actually working, and what I've been left with is more strands than I thought were there, because the strands of metal were actually mixed in. I must admit, I tend not to use this stuff. I know it's all terribly vintage and authentic, but it's a faff. I'm just going to get the bits of solder off my bench, because if I don't, when that vintage Martin comes in for a little bit of binding fix, I'll end up grinding bits of solder into it, which apparently vintage Martin owners don't like. Hold the nut, twist the socket. Yeah, that's a heck of a lot easier. I'm being very careful with my language, you may notice. I swear like a trooper in real life, but I don't think it's appropriate to the internet. And I've heard there's another West Country voiced guitar maker who's very popular at the moment, but he swears all the time. And I don't think it's appropriate when you're trying to teach and entertain people. And I'm quite willing to have that conversation with him. Right. I'm going to give this a good twist, because there are actually very few things in the world that are more irritating than a loose jack socket in a guitar, because it will happen during a gig, during your big hero piece or your solo, and you'll feel like a complete fool when it happens. And now it fits. My 3D printer has arrived. Yes, a guitar maker with a 3D printer. I don't suppose that's so unusual, really, but I think we can use this thing for a lot of stuff. Knobs, scratch plates even, who knows? I don't really know what I'm going to do with it. I really don't know, but I'm going to try some stuff out, so better get it out of the box. Unboxed. I'm actually really excited. I think it's going to sit here for about half an hour, sort of levelling itself up and generally sorting itself out. But after that, we'll get printing, I guess. I know what it's doing. Oh, here we go. Stuff is happening. That looks like it's printing. Something is happening. That looks like a little bottom of a boat. And there it is, my very first print. There you go. How exciting is that? I have entered the world of 3D printing. I have just told it to print something which I designed, which is a real first, and it's only going to be my second print, but I've asked it to print 3 volume knobs of my own design. This is quite unexpected. It's whipping through this in like no time at all. I was expecting it to take maybe half an hour to do this, but it looks like it can complete these in about the next 10 to 11 minutes, which is extraordinary. I couldn't even go to the shops and buy them in that time. The last knobs turned out really well, although I had a small issue with the first run. Something was a little bit off with my measurements, and they came out at 20 millimeters, because that's the way I designed them, and consequently they came out ridiculously small. Although, who knows, at some point in the future I might be able to use them for something, but they are on the diddy. And this was my next 3D print. See if you can guess what it is, and if you can, maybe write it in the comments. Sometimes wiring up guitars feels like a bit of a lottery, because although there seems to be some sort of de facto standard based on the original 60s instruments, the switch manufacturers have a tendency to get a bit creative. The switch that I removed, the Japanese one, I spent a good half a day trying to wire up in another guitar. It's a great switch, don't get me wrong, I love it. But it was completely the opposite way around in terms of the pins. So it got a bit complicated. But I know, for instance, that the black wires that come off the pickups are the earth wires. And we want those to go onto the back of one of these pots, and preferably the volume pot, because it's the first one it comes across. Why make long wires? So I'm going to cut these wires, and this is a bit one of those moments. I'm going to cut these wires short, and then I'm going to twist them together, tin them together, and then I'm going to solder them onto the back of the volume pot. So hopefully I won't yank it so hard that it ruins it. It's always a worry, this. Time to go for the second pair of glasses to get close. Ah, there we go. Yeah, let's see if we can get the internal sticky plastic off. So let's try this as well. Got to be so careful. I don't want to yank this out to pick up. Right, I'm just going to gather these 3 earth wires together. Yep. So to solder this, we need to get rid of some of this coating on the pot off. Otherwise it won't take. And I need to take it off about there, I think. And then I need to pre-tin that. Let's go for that. Yeah. That's looking good. Now, if I hadn't have done this, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a nice big silvery blob on there. And then hopefully I can just touch the two together, apply a bit of heat, and that will be it. There you go. And the big pride with solder is just to be left like that, with a little blob. On the left-hand side of the switch, there are 3 pins. One at the front, one in the middle, one at the rear. Now, logic would say that that would be the rear pickup, that would be the middle pickup, and that would be the front pickup. And I've seen it like that in some diagrams. Unfortunately, I've also seen it in some diagrams the other way around. Logically, if that switch is back, I reckon it might be the other way around, and that the front one is actually the back pickup, because of the way the switch mechanics work. And I'm just going to try the switch mechanics. Yeah, I reckon it could be the other way around. See, what I do is I hold the soldering iron steady, and then I just feed the solder onto it. That has proven to be the best way to solder. Okay, that's that done. Don't want these wires sticking up, and I don't want them falling out of the tracks in the routing in the body. Now, getting this correct is pretty important. There are 2 wires that go to the jack plug socket here. One of them's a signal, one's the earth. Now, the one that is white is currently attached to the casing, so it's an earth. The red wire is attached to the center pin of the volume control. So I know that that is the wire with the signal in it, and the signal will go to the tip, which is this bit here. So the signal will go to this tip, and we need to chase that back round on the metalwork. And I can see that this one here is the signal input. Welcome back to Philosophy Corner. This part of the show is always straight off the top of my head. And one thing that's been on my mind so much recently is teaching. And I know this is a teaching channel, effectively. I've never really thought of it like that. I think it is a guitar making channel, but it's a teaching channel. And there's a particular joy in teaching. And I've done it, I think, probably since I was at college. We taught the students below us a little bit as well. And then when I was an editor, which I was for like 40 years, I trained quite a few editors. I'm sure most of you were parents, and there's a real joy in teaching kids to do something that you know how to do, and they really enjoy it. I've been asked several times to teach people how to make guitars, and it's a difficult thing to do, to get somebody into your workshop and to watch them make mistakes and try and share your knowledge on a one-to-one basis with them. And I guess this channel is me doing it on a wider scale. I've been very lucky because here in France there's a guy I met who's become a good friend who was desperate to make a guitar. And so rather than just make a guitar with him and have him ask me all these questions that will be lost in the void, I thought I'd film it because now I've got the setup to do it. We can do it quite easily. So I hope one of the next things you'll be seeing on this channel will be me building a guitar with Bart. And I hope you perceive it like I'm building a guitar with you on almost a one-to-one basis. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope you are too, and I hope it happens. So let's get back to the build. Now, little tip here, I'm doing this wrong. I haven't got any cover on the top of this guitar. Now I'm soldering onto the guitar. I need them this close, it's unavoidable, the wires are short. But normally what I would do is put something over the guitar finish, because if I drop solder on it or I just touch it with the finest touch with this soldering iron, I will ruin that finish. I know that because I've done it. We're going to put this jack plug in its socket, so I need to feed these two wires through the body hole, the cavity that we made, into the jack plug cavity here, and then draw it through. Just managed to get that on there before I burnt my fingers. There we go. That's hurting my fingers. But just try and tidy that up a little bit. The reason I'm tidying this up with a pair of clippers is there's not much space in here, and I don't want any bits of stray wire or solder joint poking up. Okay, that's not bad, that's a pretty good fit. Right. The last wire is going to go into the spring cavity. I normally use pretty standard hookup wire. I'm not a great fan of this linen wire. I don't think it's the really, I mean, it's nice for sort of, you know, authenticity, I guess, with a relic, but I don't know, it's not the greatest wire to use. Okay, that seems to have come through in the right place. Right, there we go. Okay, so that is now out. Before we attach this, we just need to rough this up because this has got lots of oxidized metal on it. I don't know what this metal is. Solder's okay, but you need to tin it first, otherwise you're not going to get a decent contact. Yeah, it's interesting. Where I scratched it, it's sticking. It's actually almost like grease in all the other areas. It just won't take it. Because this is a larger piece of metal, it heat sinks away the heat from the soldering iron instantly. And so it goes hard the moment you remove this. There you go, it's fixed. The moment you take the soldering iron off it, it's done. Right, I'm just going to tidy this up because I don't like the way the wires are sitting within the claw. Just going to drag the wires out, get them tucked away behind so they don't foul anything up. To the best of my knowledge, we're wired up. The pin connections are always a bit nebulous on Strat switches, unless you're familiar with the switch. The only way to really find out is to plug it in and give it a go. But before I do that, I think I'm just going to fix everything down. I'm going to screw the pick guard on properly, scratch plate, and also screw in this socket. And the socket is quite close to the edge, so I'm going to have to pull it around a bit just to make sure I get enough wood underneath it to put a screw into, because if I don't, well, we all know what happens. They pull out, and usually pull out a piece of the wood of the guitar at the same time. So let's put the screws in. Everybody thinks that crosshead screwdrivers are pretty universal, but I'm just trying a couple here. This one fits so well that the screw actually stays on the end of the screwdriver. Now that is much more useful. So let's plonk that one in. The first time I put them in, I like putting them in by hand. I don't know why, it just feels a little bit safer. Stops you over tightening them and damaging the guitar body. I think sometimes electric drill can just run away with you a bit. So the pickup connections, as I say, are a bit sketchy. So we really need to check out the pickup connections to make sure that the pinouts and everything were correct when I wired it up. So it's connected to my little amplifier. And I am very happy to report that if I put it back into the bridge position, that's connected. The others are not doing anything. That's doing great. Stick it in the middle position. That one I was always confident was going to work. That's fine. And if I put it in the neck position, that one works. The others are down. The neck and the middle pickup are in position 1, 2, 3, 4. And we've got the other two pickup selection at position 2. They're all working great. So that is the incredible result. So I'm a happy bunny, very happy bunny indeed. The wiring is complete. I have a fine selection of knobs. There was always a worry in my mind then that it wouldn't actually fit. Okay, do I have a volume knob? Tone, 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 tone. Statistically speaking, it was going to be less, wasn't it? Okay. Wow. Well, that appears to be a complete guitar. It's amazing. You work on something like this and it's been a gap of a year, and then all of a sudden it comes together and you've got a guitar you can hold in your hands. I don't know if there's anything quite like it, to be honest. Certainly not in guitar making. That moment where you think, wow, I made a guitar. And I was very unsure about this finish. I still am, to be honest. But I think that works at the moment. I may strip it all off yet, but I don't think I'm going to do it anytime soon, to be honest. But yeah, I think there's only one thing to do. We need to get some strings on it and give it a go. And give it a go we shall. We'll get some strings on it, we'll get the neck sorted out, we'll get the bridge sorted out, we'll get everything going on this machine so that it works as well as it possibly can. And talking about working as best it can, this channel works as best it can when it has subscribers. And subscribers are the key to success in this idiom. So if you can subscribe, please subscribe. If you can't subscribe, you're doing something wrong. Subscribe. Anyway, I shall see you next time. I look forward to it.